A circle has its center at 1,4 and a circumference of 16 pi. Find the standard form equation of the circle. We know that the general setup for the standard form of an equation for a circle looks like this, where h and k represent the center of the circle and r represents the radius of the circle. We know that the center is at 1,4, so we can rewrite the first part of the equation as x minus 1 squared plus y minus 4 squared. But then we run into the issue of determining the radius. They did not give us the radius directly. However, they did give us the circumference of 16 pi. You might remember from your previous coursework that the circumference of a circle is given by pi times the diameter, which means the diameter of this circle is 16. If the diameter of this circle is 16, then the radius would be 8. That's half of the diameter. And coming back up to the standard form equation, we know that on the other side of the equal sign is going to be the radius squared. So we have 64. Using the information that's provided, the center is typically the easier thing to place into the standard form of the equation, and then the radius you might have to work a little bit for. In another example that we can look at, a circle has a diameter that stretches from -5,7 to 3,1. Find the standard form equation of the circle. Well, we are given neither the center of the circle, nor are we given the radius of the circle. All we know is that there is a diameter that stretches from -5,7 to 3,1. Now, we can imagine what this circle is going to look like. We're going to have this circle that's coming this way, like this, and then coming this way like this. We can get a rough idea of what it's going to look like, but by doing that, we're left to the devices of our own drawing. The accuracy of our drawing is probably not good enough to be able to write the equation or determine the radius. But we know that the diameter must cross through the center of the circle. So somewhere in this space here is the center of that circle. That center of the circle is found at the midpoint of -5,7 and 3,1. And frankly, it's found at the midpoint of any one of the diameters. So let's determine the midpoint. And you might remember this from previous coursework as well. The midpoint is found at the average of the two x coordinates and the average of the two y coordinates. So we add them together and divide by 2. Meaning our midpoint is going to be found at the point -1, 4, which is about where we drew it, right about there. Once we have the midpoint, we could use that midpoint to determine the radius of the circle. We know that the midpoint stretches to a point on the outside, and that's the radius, or goes the other direction, and that's the radius. Or, and I'm just posing this as an alternative, since we know these 2 points, we can find the distance between those 2 points, and that would be a diameter for the entire circle. So for the sake of conversation, let's go that route. We're going to say that the distance or the diameter across the entire circle is the difference of the y coordinates plus the difference of the x coordinates, making sure we go in the same direction for both differences. And again, it doesn't matter if we do x or y first in here. We're going to end up adding them together anyway. Square root. This first one turns into 6 squared, which is 36. This one turns into -8 squared, which is 64, giving us a square root of 100, which is 10, meaning the entire distance across this circle is 10. If the diameter is 10, then we know our radius is 5, which is what we would have got had we gone from the midpoint to the outside. And now we have all of the information that we need for the standard form. X minus the y, the x coordinate of the center. Here's the x coordinate of the center. Y minus the y coordinate of the center. Here's the y coordinate of the center. And the radius squared. We come up with the center by using the midpoint formula. We come up with the diameter and therefore the radius by using the distance formula. Writing a standard form equation for a circle is a matter of identifying 2 things: the center of the circle and the radius of the circle. Sometimes you'll have to work for one of them, and sometimes you'll have to work a little bit extra for both of them.